Matt, what do you think, man?
There's really nothing else to talk about. I mean, this was and me and Wes, we were sitting there watching the game. We were both like, oh, I said it midway through I think it was what, second quarter, Wes. I was like, this is gonna get out of hand. And sure enough, like right after I said that, you had like two or three plays where Duggan looked rattled the entire night. It was like
Yeah.
when back in the old days when you played NCAA and they used to have the little like icon above the players' heads. It was a white circle if they were confident, half a circle if they were starting to feel things, and it was a black circle if they were rattled. Home Skillet was rattled. And I can't say I blame him. Every time he turned around, he had a red shirt flying at his face. There was one play where I think it was either one of the defensive tackles or a linebacker on a blitz, like flew 3 feet, 4 feet in the air trying to get to Duggan. Duggan probably, his butthole probably clenched up. That it was just, that was an, and I hate to say it was an awful game, but it was an awful game. Georgia dominated every stat you can think of. TCU went 2 for 11 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth down. They only had 188 yards total offense, which is just stifling. They had two interceptions and a fumble. They barely get over 30 yards rushing. It's a crap game for them all around. And I hate that because when they went through Michigan, I thought maybe, because I thought Michigan was the team to win this year with the way they had looked. They didn't really, I mean, they stomped Ohio State. They had made their way through the Big Ten, and they didn't really seem like anybody was really going to phase them. And I thought for certain they would be the ones playing for the Natty, and I thought they were the best ones suited to get Georgia. And then they turn around and lose to TCU, and I'm like, well, maybe TCU can pull this thing off. But it's like we were saying, the stage was too big for TCU, and they folded. And you could see it in Sonny Dykes' eyes. Like midway through the second quarter, you could tell he has no idea what to do. And I've been in this situation. I've coached football games where they got out of hand, and you just like, we'll just try to play our game the best we can. There's really not a lot we can do, and that
Some
was what
nights are your
happened
nights
here.
and some nights aren't.
And that's a clear indication that it was not TCU's night. Now, as far as the ramifications of what this looks like going forward, I think TCU's still got some stuff to build on. It's going to be interesting to see how TCU's recruiting and all that other stuff, kind of how it all builds off of it. I was looking at Georgia's schedule for next year. We may be on the verge of a three-peat because they don't play anybody next year. Their schedule's softer than Charmin. I think their toughest game, I think they have to go, they have to play at Auburn. I think that's their toughest games. And we all know what the state of Auburn football is right now. So we're probably looking at another situation, although Tennessee may give them some trouble, but we'll see.
It's
Oh,
in
I'm
Knoxville.
never not nervous about playing in Knoxville, man. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's true. That's a different
And what's
beast.
too bad, guys, is that Georgia was going to play at Oklahoma this coming
Right.
year, but not their fault. The SEC made them switch it out. So yeah, they were like, all right, well, who can we play? And a 1 year setup when everyone else's schedule are filled, you're like, well, there's no one else you can really play but like Patsy, and Ball State came in, so no one else was willing
Yeah.
to, I guess, drop a game to come play Georgia, which it
Which
sucks
I
because when you're the best team,
understand.
no one wants to play you sometimes, like at your place or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah,
It's just I don't know. I'm not sure who's going to stop Georgia because I don't think they're losing a lot of talent. I mean, they lost a crap ton of talent last season, and all they did was hit the reload button, put a new magazine in, and went right back in the fight.
that's the
Um,
power of the transfer portal and Kirby's recruiting
and,
nowadays too.
and
So,
that's true. And I remember when they hired Kirby, I initially thought, is he going to be able to pull off a Nick Saban-esque revitalization at UGA? And at the time, I was like, nah, there's no chance he pulls that off. Well, I could not have been more wrong because that's exactly what he's done. Um, Georgia is Bama wearing a different jersey. They look complete top to bottom in almost every game they've played this season. They've looked real good when they needed to look real good. And it's just one of those situations where we're going to have to wait and see how things develop for next season and if they're really just going to hit reload again and keep going.